surprised. But I think he took it like a champ, sitting there, and gave the reaction I'd hoped for him.
What's the next step?
Well, tomorrow we start with the whole sentencing portion of it, whether or not he's going to be executed. And I have to say I'm very concerned. I know, again, I'm really worried that in a case like this, because of the stark contrast between kind of the two players, Holly BoBo and Zach Adams, I'm concerned that the jury might go for death. And, for me, who sees Zach Adams being an innocent man who's been convicted, the fact that he could get death penalty is just it's really frightening to me.
Do you still have concerns about an unbiased jury coming out of Hardin County?
I think that we were not able to go through and really ask the jury the questions we wanted to ask them. Everybody said that they had heard about the case. I think everybody on the jury had heard something about the case, and I just think that it's so close to home, just one county over, they'd heard so much. I'm not sure that you can get an unbiased jury when they've heard, a lot of people had heard about Shane Austin's suicide, and I don't think that should have come in at all about Shane's suicide, but it did. The state put it in first, and I think just things like that go to bias everything, and so it's a concern.
What do you think the key factor was that made the jury decide what they did?
Gosh, if I'd known, I would have prepared more for it. I really think that a lot
She's
of people
never prepared for
that
anything.
if you say something, then it must be true. And I think that, when you have people coming in and jailhouse snitches coming in, I tried to argue that, the jailhouse snitches would have been able to hear what he said on the phone. He's got no privacy in there. They can hear everything that goes on, and that all they have to do is do a few comments, repeat a little bit of what they've heard Zach say about the case, a few facts, and then add on the end, and then he confessed to me. So that's a concern of mine.
Do you understand that with 10 different voices from 10 different places from in-counties and out of state, that had a powerful aggregate effect?
Oh, I understand that, and we knew that going in. The problem is that there's also the $250,000 reward. Jamie Darnell admitted that he was told that they'll decide after people testify as to how they're going to divide up that money. And I think especially if you're talking about a drug crowd and a criminal crowd, that money means something to them.
Did it brought us into a situation where the jury believed Jason Autry?
Gosh, I think they would have had to. I don't know how much they believed him, or if what he said combined with some of the words they put in Zach Adams' mouth did the conviction. But I know they didn't convict based on evidence, on physical evidence, because there's no physical evidence. So it had to have been what people said.
What about the schism in the TBI? There's this bifurcated path. Were you hoping that would make a big difference? Because you spent a lot of time on it.
Well, I was hoping that, I've never before called 5 law enforcement people to testify on my behalf, and I've been doing criminal defense 20 plus years. So, did you have a question?
My question was something. Sorry, I lost it.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Talking about the testimony from Jason Autry, how did you prepare for that in your closing arguments?
The testimony from Jason? Well, I tried to just pick it apart. The problem is Jason's story was based on some truth. They were clearly over there by the river that day. And by using some little piece of truth on that, he's able to weave a story. But I just thought, that's not the place you'd go to dispose of a body. You wouldn't go to the river where everybody is fishing. They live out in the country. You just
Where would you go then?
Somewhere. I thought his whole story, it didn't quite fit with his phone. My suspicion
I
is
agree.
that the jury at
How
some
can she
point
sleep at night
decided
defending
that
a killer?
That maybe the 2 other people that weren't on trial, that Dylan or Shane Austin had something to do with it, because I think the The evidence
She's still
also
making
kinda
excuses
clearly
for
showed that
him.
Zach's phone was not with Holly's phone. And if you're going to believe Jason's story, Zach had his phone. So they had to have somehow, and there was even less evidence about Shane Austin and Dylan Adams, but they had to have just made that
That's
leap.
bullcrap. We just couldn't bring that into the trial.
TBI that were brought up in this case. Do you think that would maybe help you? Help Zach Adams in his case?
Did
I
think
bet
it was
you're
gonna help
right.
them? Well, I don't think that just because the TBI made some missteps in this case was enough for the jury to decide that Zach Adams is not guilty. I don't think that. I do think, Brent Booth got up and testified that there wasn't any pressure to solve this case, and Mark Gwynn is here today. I think there was pressure to solve this case on the TBI, and I think they had to find somebody to charge.
They found the right ones.
When Brent Booth was on the stand at the end saying that he had the right man, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, he didn't have the right man. He did not have the right man. I mean, we still maintain that Zach Adams is innocent.
You can just keep saying that till...
Well, the thing that really frustrated me about that is the state had filed a motion in limine to keep Terry Dykes from saying on the stand that he thought Zach Adams was innocent, and yet they worked in through Brent Booth to say that Zach Adams was guilty. That frustrated me, that the prosecution had done that.
Well, was there never a push? You never really mentioned an alternative theory as to where Zach was when this happened, or an alibi. I mean, we heard the working theory was it wasn't him, but
right. But that's the thing. That's the thing, and that's, when you go back and look at some of these cases that are overturned years later after wrongful convictions, it's so hard to come up with an alibi when you didn't know you needed one on that day. The person that had the crystal clear alibi, even though it turned out to be a lie, was Terry Britt. Zach didn't know he needed an alibi, and he didn't have a good alibi for that day.
So what does that
And
say?
that's part of the problem,
Idiots.
is that
Idiots.
if you didn't know you needed to be with someone and you didn't know you needed to be recording it and making a record of it, you don't.
There was a lot of kind of during you laying out your proof in your case, kind of all over the place. Is that kind of to mimic your thoughts on how the investigation was? Kind of all over the place?
Yes,
Well,
and H&H, the thing is, there's a lot of stuff a lot of people don't
It was
know.
really thorough.
There's a
but
lot of
I
stuff
think that there were still
facts
so many questions
that
were
couldn't be brought
unanswered.
into this case.
Even if you look at the way
That
the
even
state
the
did their
locals
case
know
and the state
about
did their proof,
that weren't
their questions have not
allowed
been
in
answered.
court.
I
That
mean,
actually would have
who
helped
took Holly?
the state quite a
Who
bit.
was there that morning? Who
But
took
they
Holly?
couldn't
What
bring
car
it
did they
in.
drive? Because Shane Austin didn't have a
And I was
car.
afraid that would hurt him, but
If you
luckily
believe
it
Jason
didn't.
Autry's story, when he leaves the house, there's not an extra car there for them to take. So, did they really go by the corn crib and rape Holly for just a few minutes? If you
There
look
was
at
four.
The phone experts, her phone passed by there very quickly.
There were
Her
four.
phone passed by that area within
Shane
about 10
Austin,
minutes. So that would have
Dylan
been a
Adams,
very
Zach
short
Adams, Jason Autry.
time for
Shane
people to
is the
have
one that
raped her.
committed
I
suicide.
think it just
He
cannot be
originally
accurate
got
the way that the state's
immunity
theory could not have been
if he were
correct.
completely truthful.
Thinking about an appeal and what will that look like?
Well,
Well,
of
you
course we're thinking
know,
about an
they
appeal, and I think
ratty-
that'll be
yeah.
long.
Yeah, well, when it come down to it,
Processes
that's
are never
what Jason
quick.
did.
I think that
But Shane originally got immunity, but he was deemed not being completely truthful.
that state
And he never, I don't think he ever
hearsay, which they claim
did
is
or
not for
would
the
tell him
truth,
where her
but
body
the whole
was.
thing about
They
the rape
pulled his
taking place in
immunity.
Corn Crib was hearsay.
And it was a big
And it
ordeal.
shouldn't have come in.
And they were
You know,
going to
things
sue,
that Dylan
they were going to
Adams
sue
said
the
or
state or
Shane Austin
something
said should not
over
have
them
come
pulling
in.
his immunity.
I think the state
And
moved around
I don't know,
piece of
sometime
paper
later
like
he
it was some
committed
kind of
suicide.
confession from
And
Shane
there is a
Austin, but it
letter
wasn't.
that Shane
It was not
wrote
about Shane
for that
Austin.
immunity.
And they also
But it
claimed
wasn't
that Shane
allowed in
had
court.
a,
It's the one they showed his mama on the stand. She
which I
got to
think
look
should
at it and read it,
come
but they couldn't read it out loud. And I guarantee you, it was his confession.
Zach, there was, and Zach very much wanted to tell his story, but the problem is he had a lot of felonies in his background. And that's, he was a meth head.
Yes,
and a
he was.
meth dealer.
He was actually
A lot of ugly stuff.
the one that
Had he taken the stand? So
he was with Zach that morning. Him and Zach did that together, and Dylan might have even been with them during the kidnapping, or he might have just been back at Shane's. I never could really
Right.
decide that, but
because
But yes, Shane was in it
absolutely
full
tore up
from that
10
morning on.
law
Yes.
enforcement officers that testify for a living, so I did not want to put Zach on the stand and have her cross-examine them. I just don't think, he doesn't have a high school degree. Not that high school degrees mean everything, but, he's not sophisticated. He's not had any experience with that. He's never had a trial before. All the times in the past, he's always pled guilty. He's never before even seen a jury trial.
It's because he's always been guilty.
That he would have been able to withstand stringent cross-examination, even if he's innocent.
Oh, she said now
Sure.
if he's innocent. I thought he was
It's been
innocent.
a tough day.
I want to hear from the state
Next,
lawyer.
we're going to hear from Mark Gwynn from the TBI. He will not be taking any questions from the media.
Okay, he's going to speak, but he's not going to take any questions. I'm trying to get my phone plugged in, y'all. Sorry.
First say that let's keep the BoBo family in our thoughts and prayers. There's still a lot of healing that they will have to go
No,
through
nothing
in
innocent
coming
at all.
months and years. And, they've been through a lot over the last 6.5 years, and I think we need to definitely keep them in our thoughts and in our prayers. Obviously, I'm pleased with the verdict today. I think it's the right verdict. TBI has been on this investigation from day one. I made a promise to the BoBo family 6.5 years ago that we would never stop investigating this until we brought someone to justice, and today that justice has been served. When Brent Booth said that there was not any pressure to solve this case, he was exactly right. I provide my staff and my agents support, not pressure. When you have full confidence in their ability, you don't have to put pressure on them. They want to do what's right, and they want to solve cases like this. This is what TBI does. So I'm so proud of the job they did on this case. I will stand behind every piece of work that we've done throughout this investigation. I want to compliment the prosecution team. They did a fabulous job of presenting the facts and evidence. I think we can see that through the verdict that has been rendered today. So that's all I really have to say. I just think it's a good day for justice in the state of Tennessee. I hate that it took 6.5 years to bring it, but at the end of the day, it's about justice being served. So thank you.
Okay, so that was TBI Director Mark Gwynn not taking any questions.
Okay, so the state is not going to take any questions for their lawyers. It was mostly just hired. It isn't served. You're right. They are still breathing. I'm assuming next Jason Autry will be sentenced. Jason Autry will not be charged on any federal charges. He's the one that come in later, supposedly after she's already dead and was at the river when Zach shot her. Anything Jason Autry used in his testimony to help convict Zach cannot be used against him in court. Literally meaning he made a confession. He could walk with time served. Or they will let him go if it looks like they didn't get a fair trial. I thought he got a fair trial. Matter of fact, I think he got to live his life. He was arrested in 2014. 3 years after Holly was killed. That was 3 more years he got to live his life outside of prison than she did. And even if he's convicted on death row to death, he'll sit there for another 20 years. That's 20 years Holly didn't get. I'm just saying, I thought he got a fair trial. And I thought the judge tried to be fair on both sides. There were a lot of things that they were saying the state could have objected to and didn't. There's a lot of things the judge let go that really shouldn't have been allowed. that the defense shouldn't have been allowed to say during the trial. Austin is the one who let her off, and I still can understand Clint's lack of reaction. I cannot understand Clint, his lack of reaction either. I cannot. I still cannot justify why he at least did not stick his head out the door and say, "Hey, Holly, what are you doing? Like, where are you going? Why are you going in the woods?" Like, I don't know if he was that asleep, y'all, or I don't know. Or if he was scared and he didn't want to admit it. I don't know. I'm not even really sure he knows, or if he'll ever know. He may ask himself that question. But I thought that he got a fair trial. And here's why. I watched the lawyers. Hey, Mal. That's my daughter, y'all. I thought, I was listening to the lawyers, not the lawyers for the case, but these lawyers that they kind of pick and pry what's going on in the trial. And they said the judge let that defense attorney get away with a lot of stuff she really shouldn't have got away with, because the judge was so afraid that if he didn't allow her to do this or do that, it would cause a mistrial. And so he let a lot of things go because he wanted to make sure they couldn't come back and say, "Hey, that wasn't fair, that wasn't right," whatever. Mallory, they are sentencing him tomorrow. The jury will come back and meet at 10 o'clock, and they go in and meet, and they will decide. They'll decide if they want him to get death row, or I'm assuming life without parole. I think they're going to get to decide that. So, anyway, I'm assuming Jason will be sentenced next, if I had to guess. How they're going to do that, I really don't know, because he's admitted everything, supposedly. None of that can be used against him in his own trial. He could walk with time served, literally. So I don't know how they're going to do Jason. I am guessing, since Dylan has been deemed mentally incompetent because his IQ is so low, they will either come to a plea deal, or he'll have a trial also. And of course, Shane, he killed himself. He's not here, nothing, I guess he served himself his own justice. I don't think he could live with himself, to be honest. So I'm not sure how Jason's sentencing will be done, or Dylan's. But here's my thing, y'all. If that boy, Dylan, Zach's brother, had enough sense to rape someone, he's got enough sense to stand up on that trial and have his own trial. I'm sorry. That's the way I feel about that. But like Forrest Gump, and that's all I got to say about that. If you're mentally incompetent, you're mentally incompetent. They made it very clear he was able to take care of himself every day. I mean, he had a driver's license. Okay? I mean, if you can get a driver's license, I'm a school teacher for 16 years, okay? I've had a lot of students. They're slow and have a low IQ. But let me tell you, it does not, by any means, make them not know what they're doing. They know right from wrong. They know what they're doing. Now, can they pass a standardized test? No. You're right. Slow don't make you stupid. You're exactly right. You can be slow in books. You can be slow when it comes to paper and pencil. But in the big scheme of things, you still know what you're doing. You know right from wrong. The only way he would be mentally incompetent, in my opinion, is if he was, mentally retarded, which he is not. He just has a very low IQ. He had enough sense to go throw her cell phone out and take that SIMS card out of that phone. I mean, if you were stupid, you wouldn't know to pull the SIMS card out of the phone, okay? I'm just saying, or the battery off the back, or whatever. In my opinion, he is competent to stand trial. I can't help he's got a low IQ. His IQ wasn't too low that morning. So, If it was my daughter, I guess I'd be the one own child. You are exactly right, and I've said that a million times. If it was my daughter, I'd be the one on trial. No, I wouldn't even be on trial. You know why? Because I would just I would just after I killed him, I just put the gun down and say, yeah, I did it. Just go on and take me in. I wouldn't even run. I'd just go on and admit what I did. And I'd tell him I'd do it again. No problem. So I'd be the one they'd be locking up. But you know what? They tried. Those men in that county tried that night that they arrested him. They tried. And they would not let them in that jail cell with him. And they tried everything in the world to get arrested, to get in that jail cell with him. And they wouldn't let him. But I said if he walked today, I said if they let him go, if he's out by 10 o'clock tonight, he'll be dead by 11. Because I'm telling y'all, people up there don't play. They don't play, y'all. Where I'm from, it's redneck, it's country. This is New York compared to there, okay? And I'm 2 hours away from my place at the river up there. I wouldn't run at all. I'd sniper them boys, walk up and say, justice served. Yes. That's a good idea. You're exactly right. I said, okay, he's guilty. We need a truck, a rope, and a long gravel road. Long. And a pond at the end. No, the river. I could think of other things too. Anyway, those men there at the river, which, slow drag, as close to death as you can get him without killing him. I'm actually going up to the river tonight. My husband's already up there. And we'll be, I got Holiday, Tennessee. That's Katie. What does that say? Holiday. Katie, you're going to have to clarify that. I didn't understand that one. Katie, I'll see you at the river tonight too. Katie's going to be at the river. We're all going up there, which we pretty much go every weekend. It's our second home. It'd all be our first home if we could make it that right now. But anyway, and that's why we're all so close to this trial. Oops, we ain't got shit on Holiday, Tennessee. Oh, yeah. Holiday, Tennessee backwoods. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Hey, really, even, honestly, Katie, Decatur, which is our neighboring county for Hardin, which is where our place at the river is, Decatur County, which is our neighboring county there, where Holly was from. Now, South Tillow, it's backwoods, okay? It's out there. Even the part called the city, we're in the middle of nowhere, y'all. But Decatur, this county is a rather large county. 90% of it is woods. You really can't even imagine unless you go up there and drive it. It is unbelievable. There are people that actually come from all over to hunt Decatur County, deer hunt, because I'm telling y'all, the woods, you can't imagine having to search for somebody in those woods, because I don't even know if you could search them in a lifetime. And I don't even know how many searches for Holly they had in those woods over and over. And I guarantee you they still never covered them all, obviously, because they didn't find her. It's huge, and it's mostly wooded, very thick woods. If you ever get a chance to drive through Decatur, Tennessee, take a drive through there. You'll see why it was so hard for them to find there. Thank you, H&H. Take care, and thank you for joining in and giving me some feedback. I really appreciate it. Thank you. But Decatur County is, y'all take a drive through there someday, and just drive through the whole county, just woods and woods and woods. But I'll be going up there tonight, and I'm sure there will be some celebrating going on over this conviction, and some happy people. And I hope that for the first time in 6.5 years, that her mama and daddy get halfway a good night's sleep tonight. That's what I hope for them. I don't know. I think I would be so elated. I probably wouldn't sleep for 3 more days. I'd probably just go until my body wouldn't go anymore, y'all. I cannot imagine how her mama and daddy feel. It brings tears to my eyes to know how her mom and daddy must feel right now. 6.5 years. Y'all just don't know. It's been forever. It seems like it's been 20 years. It seems like we've been waiting 20 years. So I hope her mama and daddy get a good night's sleep tonight. I really do. And I hope that good things come their way. And I, honest to God, hope that whoever gets that reward money gives it to her mama and daddy. Because I can tell you, if I was broke, as broke could be, and I had gotten that reward money, I'd have to give it to them. I don't know. Her mama can't work no more. I mean, come on, could any of us? I mean, those people, whoever gets it, I mean, that money needs to go to that family, y'all. I mean, it does. We don't call them, who is Amanda? We call them, call them thickets. Thickets. No, them woods up there are so thick. They're like thickets. It's probably like, it's like walking through super thick woods with briars and brush, and it's hills and ravines. I mean, it's that even in Hardin County woods. But Decatur County woods, times 10. It's awful. I know, we've rode through there. We rode, me and my husband rode through there, since this has been going on. Just, kind of looking to see the area and where everything's at. And I mean, I couldn't get over how wooded it all is. Yeah. Well, and I'm hoping that they'll have her a funeral now, and maybe her parents can lay her to rest, and she can have peace, and her mom and daddy can have peace. She's already at peace, but her mom and daddy can have, I don't know if you ever really get real closure, but it's going to be as close as they're ever going to get. And I'm excited about tomorrow, because I really hope they give him the death sentence, which I don't even know. Does it matter? Because he'll sit there for so long anyway. It'll be life without parole. She can only have peace if she was faithful to God and his law, just telling the truth. You're right. You're right. You're right. But, they showed many pictures of Holly singing in church. Her and her family were always in church. And it's not my job to judge her, what her relationship was with God. And I agree, because I was brought up the same way. You're only at peace. We won't get into religion, because that'll just be a whole nother controversy. But it's not for us to decide. And I hope she did too. And I hope she did too. And I also believe that what the Bible says about God taking and handling people who do bad things to people, like what happened to Holly, and that he'll take the revenge. And Holly was only 20 years old. I mean, to me, she was still just a kid. But there's also something called God's grace, and that's really what saves you. It's not that you have this perfect life. You don't necessarily none of us are perfect. God's grace is what saves you, not your actions, not what you do for people, not this, not that. I mean, at the end of the day, his grace is what saves you. And I'm not going to judge her, what her religious status was with God in any way. I hope she's at peace with God, okay? That's not for me to decide, and I would never decide that. So either way, I hope she's at peace, and I hope her family's at peace. And I believe God takes his own revenge, and I believe that God takes care of people that happens to. People that get killed like that. I think he oversees that in his own way, and that's just my opinion. The Bible says he seeks his own revenge, that we don't have to do it here on earth, and so I believe that. And anyway, okay, y'all. So I'm going to get off here. I have been following this case for years from Ireland. So glad there's some measure of justice. Ireland, wow. Yeah. Well, it's about 10 or 15 miles from my river place, and it was just too close to home for us. And so we have been involved since day one. I have watched every hearing, every news report, everything. Thank you so much, Angelica, thank you very much for watching and making comments. But it feels like, you know, she's everybody's daughter. I mean, so we're all emotionally involved in it. It's become a part of all of us. So anyway, I'm going to get off here, and I do have a YouTube video that I posted during the verdict. I mean, I recorded it on the YouTube with me there. It's my last video. I recorded the verdict live, and then the lawyers, I didn't know the lawyers were going to come on right after, so I missed part of it, but it's a little bit on the beginning of this video. So I will come back tomorrow, and I'll try to record the sentencing. And if I don't get to record it, I'll at least come on and discuss it or whatever. Thank y'all so very much for watching. Please subscribe to me if you hadn't, if you want to. Share it with your friends or whatever. I would appreciate that. And I really appreciate the interaction and y'all commenting and giving me your thoughts and opinions. And pray for the BoBo family. And keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And let's hope that they can try their best to get on with their life as best they can, with at least knowing these people are behind bars. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank y'all.